My thing is, from what I understand, from the general gaming populace, they took one look at it, saw it was like Bollywood Guardians of the Galaxy, and said, I am not interested in that in the slightest. But the executives at Sony, when they went to the studio and they pushed that game to them to see what they thought it was so good that they had to buy the studio. So I'm thinking, what did they show Sony that they didn't show us? Because there's no fucking shot, there's no way in hell that people went up, presented what they presented to us at the showcase and the gaming and all that to Sony, and Sony's like, yeah, this is cool, actually, we're gonna buy this. Hello, everybody. Episode 210 of the Thought Patrol podcast. We have returned. It is me and Sean. We're hanging out. Gonna talk about some stuff going on with some video games. We actually went and both saw the Beetlejuice movie. We can talk a little bit about that. It's just very okay. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But we saw it in person, which was kind of pog. Me and Sean were spooning the whole time. Nuts to butts action was very good. Join the OnlyFans if you want to see that. Link in the description.
Should we tell them that your dad was sitting in between us?
No.
Okay.
I can't believe you would leak that. That's wild. I gotta restart the episode. Welcome to episode 210 of the Thought Patrol podcast. But yeah, we had a big meetup. We had everyone come over and hang out because we live not super close to each other now that I've moved, but close enough where it's not like an all-day affair to meet each other. But so that was good. We had a good time, hung out. My mama made a bunch of Greek food and we had people over and it was good. It was a great time. So that was like literally just yesterday. Everyone went back home. So I'm tired. That first day we drank too much. So my body's feeling it today. I got a tummy ache, but I'm doing good. I was glad we were able to go see a movie. My dad was talking about going to watch one, but he didn't really know what to see. So I'm glad he actually joined us for Beetlejuice because I didn't know how interested he was to see it. But he seemed like he had a good time, like he enjoyed it. So, but yeah, games have been very much the usual suspects. I don't know if I talked about it last time we did the show, but I got into the Deadlock Alpha. Which has been kind of big recently amongst PC gamers, which is basically, it's like a new Valve game. It's very similar to Dota, except not as involved. Dota is probably one of the most hardcore MOBAs I've played outside of like standout things. It's very involved. This is a much more chill kind of iteration of a MOBA. And if you don't know what a MOBA is, think League of Legends, which I know just immediately turned off a shitload of people, but it's a different game. It's not League of Legends. But you go to lane, the games are like 30 to 40 minutes. It's kind of like an RPG, but sped up really quickly. You buy items, make money, you level up, and then you're fighting another team of 6 people. It's the 6v6 mode. But it's pretty good. It's probably, and I think it's because how Valve does things, but for it being basically an alpha, it is very far along. It's very polished. It's really well made so far. So I'm excited to see where they go with it. I like the theme. It's like supernatural, like 50s New York noir kind of aesthetic to it. I don't know if there's a term for that, but I like it. It reminds me of like, damn, what does it remind me of? I don't know, but think like a 50s New York noir idea, and then there's supernatural elements, occultism, stuff like that. So it's pretty cool so far, but I've been enjoying it a lot. And the way they have it set up is once you get invited, you can just invite any of your friends. So I just basically went down the list and invited everyone on my friends list, and we've all been kind of playing, and it's been a good time. Besides that, I think I played Call of Duty Black Ops 6 today. Tried it. The beta's going on. It's cool. I mean, it's Call of Duty. The gameplay's always going to be solid. Gunplay's always going to be solid. But like the big standout feature they've been talking about, or I guess gimmick, it depends who you're asking. That's been the omnidirectional movement. So this is a very sweaty Call of Duty. because you could basically dive and do all this other crazy shit, and you have full control of your character during the whole process. So if you dive around a corner, you could shoot the whole time instead of you being pulled out of your like gun animation and shit like that. Man, excuse me, I got the burps. Just ate. But that's a bit about it. I can't really think much else. I'm excited. There's a game coming out at the end of September, or this month. It's called Forever Winter. It actually looks fucking sick. It's got like a very grim, dark kind of aesthetic to it. And it's like an extraction shooter, but it's PvE. It's not like, so it's Tarkov, but you're not fighting other people. You're fighting NPCs. So it's a cooperative extraction shooter. So you go in, try and survive, but the aesthetic to it is fucking sick. It's like you're in this war-torn area, and it's super dark, and there's like bodies strung up everywhere, and there's these giant robotic factions fighting each other. You're just trying to like scourge and survive in the middle of it all. It just looks really fucking cool, and I'm excited to try it. I'm probably going to pick it up at the end of this month. And I'm interested because I've always liked, I still think Tarkov is one of the coolest and most realistic like approaches to gunplay with the way it is. And I think it's cool, the management of your inventory and having to actually reload the mags that come out of your guns and put the bullets back in them and all that other stuff. I think all that's super cool. I just hate extraction shooters. I don't like Hunt. I don't like Tarkov. I don't like the idea of going in, dying, and losing all your shit. So, and I also, I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of it. So, but this, we're being in a setting where it's primarily PvE, I could handle a little bit more, and be okay with it. So I'm excited for that. But besides that, I haven't done much else. Just been the usual suspects, playing Zenless and Honkai still. First Descendant. Been enjoying First Descendant, basically like super weeby Warframe. That's been a good time. Besides that, SL. What about you, Sean? I know you were just playing Warhammer. The new Warhammer came out.
Well, I watched the
Did you buy the more expensive version of it? Because doesn't it come out tomorrow?
Apparently, whatever I bought wasn't the base version, but it was any. I don't remember what version I purchased.
It's whatever that gives you the 4 days of early access or whatever.
It was probably the next level up because I seem to remember deeming the expensive version completely a ripoff.
Yeah, I think it's just
I don't
skins,
recall.
And then you get the 4 days of early access, which I think is, I don't know. I don't like the idea of it. It feels like a way to like boost the idea of pre-ordering because that's effectively what you're doing.
No, I don't support the early access. But if I purchased something, it would have been for a specific reason, but I don't remember now. I do not have an answer for you. I do not know why it is working, but I wasn't going to argue with it working. So, and I'm too lazy right now to go and look to see what version I purchased, but it works. And the cutscene was super neat.
Nice.
And you start off as a fucking Deathwing, which is interesting. Oh, by the way, they're line breakers. They're like the Marines. They're the first ones through the line. They break through and hold an area, and they're the reason that they're slightly different than the rest of Ultramarines is that they don't retreat.
Gotcha.
Ever.
They're crackheads.
That's the only difference. Like Ultramarines will retreat sometimes or give ground. Deathwings do not. Apparently, that is their big thing. Is they will die holding a point. They don't give a shit. And Ultramarines apparently will do that too, but they're not. They will make strategic, backtracking, whereas apparently Deathwings do not.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway,
I just don't know if I
don't know, but the first game was fun. It was like it was a little bit. It was like Gears of War or Bulletstorm, but simpler. It didn't have any particularly unusual mechanics outside of like that kind of mechanic that was introduced with Doom, where you can do things to get your health back. You like in this one, like when you go super aggressive, if you play super aggressive, which you really do want to do in this game. You can get your health back by doing like special kills, like curb stomps and shit.
Yeah, Doom does the glory kills where if you like chainsaw a motherfucker, he poops out ammo. So you want to like be in the front lines.
Yeah, but with this, I don't think they give you ammo. They just give you health.
Yeah.
So like in the middle of a particular fight, you like there are many times because I played it on veteran, which is like the difficulty below the most impossible difficulty. Like you're constantly getting like running your health down to like 10-15% and then just hunting for an enemy that you can try and do like an assassination kind of move on so you can get some health back. And so you're constantly doing that and you'll get swarmed by enemies and then you'll start off with your ranged weapons and then you resort to your melee and you're getting like jumped on and then it's that kind of thing, trying to get your health back and keep fighting. It's pretty fun. The first one was very like one player, very Gears of War bullet stormy in terms of like gameplay and whatnot. Your standard scene to scene gameplay. It was all very fun and lots of action set pieces and what you would expect from like a console kind of game. So I'm expecting the second one apparently has gotten really good reviews despite the fact that they're doing that corporate bankrupt bullshit where there's like 14 different pre-orderable versions of the game where they keep adding more crap onto it. It's just fucking revolting. That's kind of sad that they did that. Oh, and I got the Aelin, was it Aelin Tavern or Aelin?
Oh yeah.
The fuck is that game called?
I know what you're talking about. The one we played the demo of.
Yeah, I do remember actually paying for that.
I think I saw it. It's like on
money,
sale or some shit. Aelin Tail Tavern or some shit.
Yeah, I got that.
Nice.
Aelin Tail Tavern. It was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I like playing it.
I know Tyler liked it too.
Like, maybe an hour or two and then jumping into something else. It's not something I would do all night, but I very much enjoyed. I played it with our mutual acquaintance Daedalus for like an hour or two, and we forced Sleazy to get it because he wasn't going to get it, and I think Daedalus bought it for him, and so we did that. And then I played some with Jordan, which is a friend of the podcast, Olin Blue, and I played that with him for a while, and we did pretty good. So I've got 2 different games that I've been playing in that, and that was kind of fun.
Nice.
Outside of that, I came back from going up north to Connecticut for a weekend. It wasn't this weekend that just passed because I spent that with you, but the weekend prior, I went up to visit Jess, and I had a pretty amazing weekend. And I got some really horrible news like last Thursday, and I'm still kind of recovering from that. So that's kind of fun. And I don't have any other news, really. I haven't played anything else.
Keep it as short and sweet. I think we got like a week until Final Fantasy 16 comes out on PC, so I'm excited to play through that again because I never dabbled in the DLCs, but I fucking adored that game. Excellent
Final
story.
Fantasy may cry.
Yeah, excellent story, excellent characters, really good. So I'm excited to go back through it again and try out the DLCs and see what's going on with that, and also be able to play it in an environment where it runs well. And from what I understand, for people playing, because you could basically, if you've never tried it, they have a demo that's just the first 2 hours of the game. So you get the first 2 hours of the story. It's a really well put together demo. You get to try the gameplay out a little bit, go on a little mission, and then you get a pretty nasty hook of like the initial story. Well. Yeah, and then if you buy the game after, you can just load it up from the save that you have from completing the demo. So you can completely just pick up right where you started. So there's really no reason, if you're vaguely interested and want to just throw 2 hours at something, there's no reason not to do it, because it's free. You play it, and then if you do like it and you want to continue, you could just pick up right where you left off. So it's a good experience. Phenomenal music.
If I feel like playing Final Fantasy Aneta.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to play through it again and just enjoy it, man. The music in that game is phenomenal, and the boss fights are crazy. Some of the best boss fights I've played in games. Remind me very much of like God of War and Asura's Wrath level shit. They're fucking wild. I can't wait to go through them all again. Yeah, but besides that, and then
not what I wanted to hear.
What was it called? Never Forever Winter, that one that I was talking about earlier. Those one I'm excited for this month. Can't wait to get into that.
Neverwinter?
Forever Winter. The one I was talking about earlier. It's like a grim, dark extraction shooter PvE game kind of thing.
Yeah, I was into it until you said extraction shooter.
It's PvE. You're not playing against other people. So think of it like
That's weird.
it's kind of like GTFO, where you
But it's
go
still like
in.
an extraction shooter?
Yeah, you go in and loot, and you try and survive, so you can get out and keep the stuff you found. But and then you get to
Oh,
bring
I'm
that
down
stuff
for
into
that. How
another
many
one.
players?
3 or 4, I don't remember. Yeah, but I'm definitely gonna be picking it up. It's gonna be releasing in early access near the end of this month, but it looks great.
It's on Steam?
Yeah, they released videos for it that show off the world. The art style is phenomenal. Absolutely incredible art style. It just feels like a really cool aesthetic, so I'm super hyped for it. I know some people in the community were pretty hyped too. So we might be able to get some game nights together. Should be a good time. So yeah,
What
but
was it
besides
called
that,
again?
either Forever Winter or something else. Let me see. Yeah, the Forever Winter is what it's called. Co-op tactical survival horror shooter.
Oh, I've seen this. Okay.
Wonder how many people you can play it with. Either 3 or 4.
All I've seen is a lot of concept art for it, though.
They've released gameplay trailers. Like the last 2 weeks or something. Yeah, released on the 24th. Dog. Nothing that says how many people are here that you play this with? Oh, I see 4 in the picture. I'm gonna assume it's 4.
Their devs have a funny name, Fun Dog Studios.
Yeah. All right. So
It reminds me of Remnant.
yeah, a little bit. Remnant's a little bit more. How do I say this? Remnant always felt like more. Like it had some interesting stuff, but I guess the way the art style was, I always felt like it was kind of cartoony. I guess is how I would put it. Especially the first one. I don't know if that was just.
I didn't get that vibe.
I don't know if it was just. It felt like Cthulhu light. Like this is something kids can play, cute kind of thing. Not maybe not necessarily kids, but it's not. It doesn't feel like a deep dive into like the crazy shit that kind of world would create. It just felt like a romp, like a fun romp you would go through or
Oh,
some
you
shit
haven't
like
played
that.
the second one yet.
No, I haven't. But that one looks the same. But I admit the vibe might not be the same, at least from what they're trying to say in the story and stuff.
I'm just saying the whole post-apocalyptic vibe that I see in this one, with the world being warped and broken, is kind of a similar
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I could
vibe.
agree with that.
Environments look a bit more open here,
Yeah, they're supposed
but
to be
that might
like
just
these.
be the creative skyboxing.
I think they're supposed to be these like large maps. If they're like Tarkov, they're pretty massively sized maps. Because it seems like that's a lot of what they're basing their thing off. It's just like Tarkov but with a more fantasy approach, and then in PvE. And Tarkov has large maps that are large enough where you need to actually have a map because they don't give you one. So you kind of have to learn where everything's at. So
I love the looking on the game page, they show this picture of this badass hulking brute, and it says, "You are not this guy." And then there's like an image below it of like some old decrepit dude in like oversized clothing and a giant backpack, and it's like, "You're this guy." And I'm like, I mean, it's funny, but not at all interesting. Like you're just a glorified bag lady.
no, yeah, you're a scav.
Yeah, you just have your shopping cart on your back.
Yeah, it's called a rig, I think, and it's how you like craft things is through the rig. But you also have like a base that you come back to, and it has like you can manage it, and you'll have NPCs come in and out of that base that you can buy stuff from and sell stuff to, and some of them you can convince to stay, and then you have to like manage your water levels to like keep people around and stuff like that. And it was interesting. They were saying like the way the game would scale is that whoever the host was, you would basically get their camp. So if someone's like farther along and you join them, you can still get stuff from their camp and you can keep that and save it, and it will go. If you ever play by yourself, it will go to you. You'll still be able to maintain that stuff you got playing with a friend. So it seems like it's pretty flexible So it won't be annoying having to deal with like people being at different points of progression and stuff like that. It just seems like you can hop in and play with whoever, whenever, and still have a good time, which is nice. It's also, from what I understand, there's no servers, so it's peer to peer if you want to play with others, which is nice. So if like there's a lot of interest in the game and servers don't get shit on basically day one, you're still okay because you don't have to connect to a server. You just get in and invite people, and you have peer-to-peer matching, and you'd be fine. You don't have to worry about a server taking a shit or whatever, which is nice. So, seems like the devs are the right place. They have a good heart for what they're trying to do. And the way I've heard them talk about it just excites me because they seem pretty passionate about it. So hopefully it does well. I've heard some people giving it praise, like Asmongold and other people like that. So I think it's getting its name around. It might sell well, and hopefully they could create more cool content and throw it out there. So,
hopefully,
yeah. So besides that, we've had some things going on. Sean, I don't know if you've heard, but there's been a death. We've had a horrible loss of life. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I'm waiting for the punchline.
Yeah, it's Concord. Rest in peace, Concord. It's getting shut down.
Oh yeah.
We didn't get a chance to talk about this, but I think there's estimates going out that there was maybe like something around 25,000 units sold, which is abysmal for a game that's been in development for like 8 years and has $100 million spent on it by Sony. My thing is, from what I understand, from the general gaming populace, they took one look at it, saw it was like Bollywood Guardians of the Galaxy, and said, I am not interested in that in the slightest. But the executives at Sony, when they went to the studio and they pushed that game to them to see what they thought it was so good that they had to buy the studio. So I'm thinking, what did they show Sony that they didn't show us? Because there's no fucking shot, there's no way in hell that people went up, presented what they presented to us at the showcase and the gaming and all that to Sony, and Sony's like, yeah, this is cool, actually, we're going to buy this. There's no fucking way.
Me is it's not like the field is bursting with successful hero shooters. I mean, Overwatch has been bleeding players. I mean, not.
But Overwatch when it came out was like one of the best games of that year, and it was insanely successful. So I could see looking at like original Overwatch and being like, yeah, let's try and do something like that. But the thing is,
but that's a decade later.
Yeah, but the market is also, I think it's pretty well saturated and those games, usually multiplayer shooters like that, they request a lot of time from the people playing them. So there's only so much time to go around that these guys have, or these people have, to play games. You got to find a way to pull them away and keep them away, because sometimes they'll go away for a week, they'll try it, but then they'll go back to their like everyday drivers, like the shit that they're okay with and they like the most. So you got to be really something special to pull someone out of a different entire ecosystem like you would with Overwatch or something like that, And they just did not have any element of that showing.
Gameplay was average and unbalanced. Characters were boring. There was nothing.
Dude, the art style is so dog shit in that game. I'm sorry. It looks like ass. It looks like a fucking Tumblr user's like wet dream kind of level for the way they designed some of those characters. They look so shitty.
Tumblr users wet dream.
Yeah, man. Have you seen the character designs?
I saw them. They were super boring.
Yeah, they suck. They're fucking awful. Oh my god. And they kind of have like there's kind of like a tinge of like, how do I even say this? When I meant like Tumblr users wet dream, they feel like they're like character designs for like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. I guess like LGBT stuff, like just the look of some of them. Like you have a fat black girl as a character. And I'm like, I mean, if you're fat and black, great, go do what you need to do. But I don't know how many fat and black people are on their dev team. Outside of it, just we're checking boxes here, It's very rare for me to see a fat person in a video game.
Incorporate fantasies of characters, not that.
Yeah. It's very, I mean, and even when characters are fat, they're like fat and like I think of like Roadhog from Overwatch, right? Like he's a fat dude, but he's got a lot of like
Or you might have more
style
unconventional
to
body
his
builds like
fatness, you know?
May.
Oh yeah, May's a little chunky, got a fat ass, so it's fat somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It, but
I'm not coming down on the fact that you could introduce a character with an atypical body style, but you got to make them interesting. And these
oh yeah,
characters
they're
were
just
boring.
not. They look like people you pulled out of a Walmart.
Like this woman is a postal worker. This woman works for UPS. This guy delivers pizzas. That's the vibe you get from the characters. This dude lifts weights. Like there's no story to their costumes. There's no interesting thing to their gear. It's just very boring
Sean, look at this
looking
picture.
characters. Just very unimpressive. What?
Look at this picture. You know how to get into the chat where we are in the live show, or no?
Yeah,
Okay, look at that.
I'm in it. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
The
anything
pants
about you?
don't
What?
fit.
I can't imagine looking at this character and being like, you know what? I want to play this. I can't. I mean, some of them look interesting. I guess I don't know. Like when I say Bollywood Guardians of the Galaxy, that's what's going on here. It's Wish.com version of it. And it kind of sucks because I heard that the one interesting thing, another interesting thing they had is like they would have basically like every week they would release like these like cutscenes that would tell the story and expand upon it. And that sounded interesting to me. Like you have this ever expanding world and stuff, and maybe you can expand that further into gameplay stuff. Like I don't know how the hell you would do it, but the idea, the setting, the initial premise of it sounded cool. Being a part of this like ever growing story where you have, I mean, that sounds very difficult to pump out a cutscene every week though, especially when you gotta have those people working around the clock to get that shit done. But I don't know, it just sounded interesting. But that was probably the only interesting thing I heard out of it. Everything else sounded very subpar, and it didn't do well.
I don't
No one
feel
liked
like
it.
that's enough to sell an idea.
Oh, definitely not. At that point, you're just watching a TV show. But it'd be something similar like what Helldivers does. Helldivers is really cool because they have this actively growing story that the devs are telling, but they do it mostly through gameplay, which is a little bit more impactful than these little like stories, these little basically TV shows you watch every week. But I just like that premise, the idea of being involved. That's why I love MMOs, is you're actively involved in this changing world that you almost feel like you're morphing yourself along with the community. I think that shit's cool as fuck. So, but yeah, Concord's fucking dead.
Well, they did something for an MMO several years ago. I can't remember what it was called. They just shut the MMO down. The MMO was actually halfway decent. I can't remember. It started with a D, I think, but they had a science fiction show, and it was an hour long every week, and it was about this planet that was being settled by humans, and there was like two other races, and there was like political intrigue, and then there were like these creature bug things that they were trying to hold off, and they were like planetary bombardments, and it was supposed to be an interesting sci-fi show. And then
Was this thing on console?
What? It was on console,
But
yeah.
it was like
But it
early
was also on
PS4,
PC.
right? I think I know what you're talking about.
Might have been PS3. I don't remember. I just remember
Defiance.
that the show
Defiance, right? Yeah.
affected the MMO, and the MMO affected the show. So if there was like a major faction change or like a story change influenced by players, then that would carry over into the show, and vice versa.
I think it was PS4 it was on because
It was an interesting concept, but it didn't really implement well. It didn't catch on. The show didn't make it, etc.
That's a lot of effort too.
And that's what this reminds me of.
Yeah. That's a shitload of effort because you have to try and maintain that creative vision across two like massive teams.
The creativity behind the idea, I think, is very good. You know, I think they deserved a lot of respect for trying to do something different, but I don't see that being a practical implementation in the long run.
Yeah, no, I feel you. But yeah, so Concord's dying, but there's an interesting thing is basically people are trying because the game's ending.
No, it's dead.
Wait, I think by today it's actually died. I don't remember, but they were shutting down the servers. They basically released a statement that they're going to take the game down and explore other avenues. So that it may eventually get re-released, maybe as a free-to-play game with a different monetization strategy. I don't see that doing well. So I think with like video gamers of
no, plus I don't see Sony dumping the money in. If they were going to do that, they would have done that months ago.
I mean, they've already been dumping the money. So it's either you just let all that money die out or you kind of try and salvage what you can to try and get it off the ground. I just don't think it does because video gamers...
This is Sony we're talking about. I don't see them doing the salvage trend.
Video gamers are driven off of first impressions. So if the community has decided your game is fucking dead, it's going to be very hard to somehow turn that around. I don't see it happening. Unless they do like a complete overhaul of like the visual side of it, the gameplay side of it, which I don't know if they'd put additional money into doing. I could maybe see them turning into a free-to-play title and re-releasing it, and then having a different monetization strategy for the skins. But I don't know. But people, because the game's going down...
There were excellent games that came out, and like Battleborn that ended up getting slaughtered just because another gaming studio intentionally misled an audience about them. Like Blizzard intentionally stomped out Battleborn when they weren't even competitors.
I mean,
like completely different games, different genres, different audiences, and
I mean, they have their full
Blizzard
right to
intentionally
do that,
made their
but
ads misleading so that the games looked similar. Because Battleborn tried to differentiate their ads, and then Blizzard changed their ad strategy to intentionally fuck them. And the game just drowned, and there was absolutely no reason for it. It was an excellent game. It just couldn't get people to play because people mistakenly thought it was like Overwatch. So if this game can't somehow get that word out, get that interest out, then I there's just no way. I can't see any circumstance.
I don't see it happening either. No, yeah, and it's not even getting the word out. You're trying to actively flip a perception of you in the space, which is much more difficult. So I don't see it doing well either. But the actual connection here is people are trying to get the platinum before the game dies, and they're running into like these massive gameplay bugs that are preventing them from getting the platinum. And on top of that, considering it's a multiplayer game, you got to do stuff in a multiplayer environment, and the servers are going to shit. Basically, there's like 10, 20 people online, so you're trying to do all this stuff. It's just funny seeing people try to squeeze a platinum out, because that might be a rare platinum if you think about it, because if the game actually does go down and never comes back up, that game was...
Who cares?
Well, I'm just saying, it's funny, but that game was up for like 2 fucking weeks. So that'd be a funny thing, be like, oh yeah, I got the platinum in Concord. It's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? That's crazy. But yeah, I don't see it.
Yes, I never understood the platinum hunting thing. I guess I get it on console because you don't have a lot, but I haven't seen a lot of PC players give a shit about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, I think there's always a community for it. I don't know necessarily how big it is. It's definitely not in our circle. We don't have a lot of people that do it. But I think it's interesting having like rare achievements. Like Steam has a cool feature where on your profile, you can have a showcase of your rarest achievements. So the stuff that the least amount of people have. So if you have an achievement that have like 0.01% of the community that plays that game has, you could showcase that on your profile, which I think is kind of interesting. You're like, oh shit, I got this crazy achievement that was super difficult or super rare or RNG heavy or whatever. But yeah, I don't think there's not really... I used to do platinum hunting back in the day on PlayStation. Like I remember I try and do it. Like I remember doing it for Battlefield 1, trying to get that. But yeah, once I switched to PC, I didn't really care that much anymore. So, but I'm sure there's a community for it. We just don't have a lot of people that do it in our friend group.
My kid used to be a trophy hunter. I don't know if they still are.
But yes.
I don't know. It just seemed like you'd have to really grind games and turn them into work, and it didn't seem like fun to me.
Oh yeah, but there are people that do like that. You got people that play Warframe all day, bro. That's basically a job.
I get it. Itself, I do. I get it. in terms of like, I understand that there's an audience for it. I'm not that audience.
Yeah.
I don't have the time for it, man. Like life doesn't. When you're a grown up, not all grown ups get that kind of time, and I hate it. I hate the fact that that's true. I hate the fact that I don't have enough time to do this stuff, even that you get to do. It sucks, and then like I don't get to enjoy things the way that I used to. But that's life, and if I'm
Yep.
going to enjoy stuff, I'm definitely not going to. I'm gonna have to cut corners somewhere, and diving into that kind of like granular like reward system is just too much for me.
But only other thing I've seen that some people might give a shit about is some people are thinking that PlayStation 5, or they might be releasing a PlayStation 5 Pro soon. They recently had like a 30th anniversary design image that they put out, like PlayStation, and people saw what looked to be like a PlayStation Pro in there, because it didn't look like any of the other systems that they had available on there. So
I'm sure they are.
yeah,
They've all but proven it because there's been patents locked and documents reserved and all kinds of other bullshit set aside for it. It's just weird that they're jumping in so fucking early in the PS5's life. Like they haven't pushed the
I mean, we've
hardware
had the
beyond its
PS5 for a
limits yet.
while.
It's
What, 4 or 5 years?
yeah, barely. It's only like 3 years old.
No, it's like we're 4 years, almost 5 years. Oh, we're working on 4 years right now.
Seems a bit early for a refresh.
I mean, they usually last around 7 console cycles, so we're halfway through. So it seems kind of on par, I guess. It's just, it feels like it's early because they haven't done a goddamn thing with the PlayStation 5. Like, their game library for its ass compared to the PS4 in its first 4 years. But, yeah, I mean, but people that do like that, my thing is, what kind of spec improvements would we see? Because maybe some kind of native 4K stuff going on, because the PlayStation, even since the PlayStation 4, they've been able to do like the quote unquote 4K 60 FPS. The thing about it is the 4K that they're getting is upscaled rendering. So either it's the checkerboarding
Upscaled.
system, so it's not a native 4K resolution. And believe me, you could tell the difference. It might be a little bit more difficult if you're sitting on a couch like farther away from your TV. But if you're like looking at a monitor, which I do every fucking day, you could tell the difference between like a native and an upscaled 4K, you know? So it'd be interesting maybe if they're like, oh, hey, we're doing native
That's
4K
like the
60.
old
I don't even think they
it's
can
like
do
the old ones where it was native or it was dithered. They would dither to try and increase resolution.
I guess.
So instead
I
of a
don't know.
checkerboard, it was horizontal lines.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I don't even
Yeah,
think
that was old school. That was during the 16, the 32, the 64-bit days when they would try and increase up to like 720p. Sometimes they would do that by dithering.
gotcha. I mean, it's probably similar to the checkerboarding stuff. My only thing is,
It's a similar concept. It's just a little bit more basic, little lower in the tech,
yeah, I don't even think that
earlier tech.
the current
That's all. It's
PS5.
the same thing that they used to use to try and create underwater effects.
Okay. I don't even think the current PS5 is capable of doing a native 4K, because like the 4K 30 they do, I still think is up-resed. I mean, which again, it's a lot harder to tell if you're farther away from your system, but maybe people might see some kind of
Even if
native
they
4K.
could do like a native, like a 2K, like a native 2K at like 60 plus frames would still be, if it was consistent for most games, would still be pretty impressive, I would think.
Yeah, I mean that's what my system's doing.
If you could keep the 60 frames,
I do 2K 120.
you know?
Yeah, no, I feel you. But yeah, so what we might see is something. There's been no official talks about it, but we might see something come down the road. We'll have to see. But yeah, so if you're excited, I know not a lot's been going on. I know recently Astrobot released, and I remember playing
that game's supposed to be incredibly good.
Yeah, I remember playing the first one on the PS5. It was like a launch thing for it, and it was really fucking good. I loved it to death. It was such a good time. It was very reminiscent of like older platforming games with like mascots and stuff. So I could see them going all out and it doing well, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. I just don't have a PS5, so. But yeah,
They're
I'm glad
so
that
expensive.
I'm glad that
You
they're.
know, they raised the prices of the PS5 in Japan.
I did not, but I'm.
Yeah, they raised it like I think 20%.
Yeah,
And it's like an arbitrary price raise too. Like they didn't even have to. They were just like, fuck it, it's selling really well, and we don't have a lot of competition, so boom. And when they did that, the funny part is that the Xbox prices skyrocketed, or not price, the Xbox sales skyrocketed by a well, not skyrocketed, but went up by a significant margin. And the only reason that the pundits think that this happened is because the new Monster Hunter game is going to be released on all platforms. Well, not Switch, but all the major platforms: PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And because the PlayStation is so expensive, or more expensive, people are buying the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X in Japan and just sitting on that thing just to play Monster Hunter,
yeah. I'm
which
looking it
is
up, and
like comical to me.
they basically. Only thing I see here is they cited a difficult external environment, including global economic fluctuations, which also sounds like bullshit. So I don't know what any of that means, but yeah.
It's fucking Sony. They're just corporate crap.
So it would be the console without a disk drive would be 79,980 yen or $551. It's kind of nuts.
You gotta fucking kid me. Isn't the with disk drive console $500 here or something along those lines? I bought it for my kid back when it came out. I don't remember. They have like the better version with the higher quality parts versus the cheaper one they make now.
Yeah, I see it here. Sony console. Well, this says slim, but it's got the disk drive. It's $499. The 825 gigabyte version.
I think they all have the same size hard drive, or they did.
Damn. Sony PlayStation 5 Ultimate Bundle. $1,200, bro. What I paid for my fucking PC back in the day. That's crazy.
$1,200?
Well, it's got two
The fuck does
controllers.
it come with?
It's got two controllers, the PlayStation with the disc drive. It's got like that portable thing that they have where you can play games on the go if you have a Wi-Fi connection. It like streams them to
The
your
tablet?
Yeah, it has that. It has a headset,
I
two
don't want
carrying case, two controllers, a bunch of other shit, some kind of remote control. Looks like for a TV. I don't know what the fuck that is. Yeah, I don't really care.
Fuck that bundle. Look, you need it. You need two controllers, and you need Astrobot, and
Yeah,
that's
right.
all you need.
If they would have,
And Astrobot, the first Astrobot comes free with the console.
yeah, they're gonna have to do something crazy to get me to want to dish something out for a specific game. Thank God.
I'm sorry, I want to say this again. $1,200.
Yeah, I mean that little tablet thing I think is like 300 by itself. Whatever the fuck that
But
thing.
nobody uses it.
I'm just saying what it costs. I don't know about it.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on over to the mailbag though. We have Sam wrote in. He resurrected his question from the dead because we did read it last time, but that episode was lost to the ethers of the internet. Because what was the reason? Well, again, oh yeah, we hadn't recorded on my new computer. I lost all my settings, so the sound was horribly fucked. You couldn't even hear me half the time. I think there was like a noise gate on my mic, Sean. So if my mouth was not caressing the fuck out of this microphone, you would not hear me at all. So you sounded like a madman talking to yourself. It was fucking hilarious. But because of that whole episode was a wash. You basically couldn't hear me at all. I was like, fuck. So, which is funny because you could hear me talking to you through Discord, but because it was getting cut off in the mixer that we use on OBS, it was all getting lost to the actual recording itself. So Sam has rewritten in because he wants to hear our answer, I guess.
Oops.
What a goober, this guy. Goober Sam. All right, so he says, since my question was lost to the virtual abyss, cough, Kyle's goof up, cough, I'll submit a new one. Lately, I haven't been able to play all the latest and greatest games due to responsibilities and higher priorities. I've now subscribed to listening and watching reviews of said games. With all that said, there seems to be a dichotomy between consumers and journalists. Here's my question. How much stock do either you take in the perspective of others when you can't take part in the thing being consumed? Are you more aligned with the general population or a small few? And then he has a fun question for us after that. So, I mean, I think everyone finds people that their opinions align with, and they kind of create that little circle of media of people that they respect their opinions on things. Um, but I've definitely had games in the past where I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, but I don't really think I would finish it. I've had plenty of games where I looked at on Steam on sale, and I'm like, I have the money to get this, but will I actually fucking beat it? And a lot of the time I've said no and have not bought those games. And a lot of times I've said yes and then not actually beaten the games too. So it still fucking happens from time to time. But I will go and look. I try my best to not speak on things that I haven't played. Like kind of push an opinion I've adopted as my own. I try to avoid that. I don't really like that. So if it's something like we talk about in the show, I try my best to have watched it or played it beforehand. Um so I could talk about it for the show. Like there's a reason like right now we're not talking about like Wukong and fucking Warhammer and all that other shit. I don't think I would finish those games. So but yeah, I have that. Like I like Skill Up or Shill Up as some of them call him. I think he does a good work, and I usually align with his opinions on things. So if it's something I'm interested in or interested in the news around, I'll definitely look in the circle that I follow and see what those people are saying about the games. So what about you, Sean?
I like the way that he does his reviews so
Oh,
that
that
I
too,
can
yeah.
like because there are times when I will instantly disagree with him, but he'll give me enough information where I'll know that I can healthily disagree with him and know that I'm probably correct on my position for me because he's given me enough information from his perspective. Like he'll tell you like if you're into this or if you're into that, like it does this, it does that. That doesn't really hold any value for me, but if it does for you, like your mileage on that'll vary or whatnot. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally my kind of thing. So I'm all over that. So it lets me know that like even though I don't fucking agree with him, like I can still use his reviews for like to help me make a better purchasing decision.
Yeah, definitely. All I know
Not
is
all
that
reviewers are like that because a lot of times I'm not like that. When I'm giving a review on something, it's I'm not often as objective as he is.
I know that he said Nier was one of the best games he's ever played. So the moment I watched that review instantly, I'm like, this dude, he's a man of culture. So I will listen to anything else he says. But then he said he liked Last of Us too. So it's been an ebb and flow, you know? But
He's also a Final Fantasy 14 fan
he
and
also didn't like
a
16.
sad Destiny fan.
Oh yeah. He didn't like Final Fantasy 16. He didn't like the combat in it. But
What?
again, you make a good point with the way he speaks about
Would
things.
you cut out? What'd you say?
Oh, I said he doesn't like Final Fantasy 16. He didn't like the combat in it, right? He's one of the people in the camp where he thinks Final Fantasy should be primarily turn-based games. So, but he would like, yeah, like you say, he gives good evidence for his reasoning. You know, so you feel like, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying, but I understand exactly where you're coming from. You know, so I think that's a really
Yeah.
important thing when you look at even if you want to look back and you're listening, you want to look back at the people you do listen to and the opinions you do consume for people in your circle. See if they're doing that. Go back, look at their reviews, see how objective they are and what they talk about, and see how much you like that. If you think that's important for the way people formulate their opinions, you know. But yeah, definitely. I put decent stock in the people I trust. There's definitely like the general media. I usually don't. I usually don't consume. I think a lot. I think it's funny to see some of the memes from certain reviews and stuff like that. But I'm not going to like IGN for like whether or not I think a game is good or not because they just give everything a 7 out of 10 and move on. You know. But it's usually YouTubers. YouTubers I trust. You have anything else to add? I think he's got another question for us.
Not really. No, I think you expressed everything I would have.
Yeah. But definitely let us know who you guys listen to, whose opinions you trust, people that you've got in your like media circle that you think are worth paying attention to. Let us know. Definitely connect with us. Check the Discord socials below. He also says, "Fun question: what is your ideal sandwich?" And he says, "Do you toast it? Is it sweet or savory or both? Have a great week, fart sniffers." And he has a little thing here. The ebb and flow of darkness churns. Bo Yang awaits his
Ugh.
destiny, while Essa embraces hers. The conclusion of Bo Yang no Waifu is coming this fall. And then he has the beginning of something redacted is coming this winter. So he's getting busy. What the hell's going on?
He's married. Married people get busy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, you're talking about something else.
No, Sam doesn't get busy.
I thought he confirmed he has gotten busy at least once.
If he didn't do anything with eating her ass, and it's not considered busy. So still waiting on that update, Sam. Hit me up.
For her sake, I hope she never hears this.
Imagine. What the fuck's going on?
God. The one time she's like, "What's this podcast you're so fond of? Let me listen to it."
Oh,
And then
no.
5 seconds in, it's like, "Sam, eat her ass."
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a fucking experience for that.
He's just
poor
gonna get a
woman.
call one day. He's like, "Sam, we need to talk," and he's gonna wonder what he did, and it was because she listened to
Yeah.
the podcast, and we got him in trouble.
Tell me about the eating ass, Sam. Tell me about the child molester van, Sam.
Damn, my ideal sandwich. I don't even know. Does ice cream sandwich count? Because those kind of fuck. But like, if
Sandwich is sandwich.
that is a sandwich. I do love ice cream sandwiches. They are some of my favorite ways to consume ice cream. But if I had to, let's see, if I was like, I need to eat something, I was gonna make something to eat that was in a sandwich form. I fucking adore really well made chicken salad. That's like one of my favorite things ever. There used to be this place I went to. Now they were subs.
That's unusual.
So they're not necessarily sandwiches. They're close
Subs are
enough.
sandwiches.
They're close enough.
A sub is a sandwich.
It's like
They're called submarine sandwiches.
we're not getting into it. But there's a place called Las Spadas that we used to have down south. And they had literally the best chicken salad I've ever had in my fucking life. They did not survive the pandemic and they went out of business. So I was like, I have not had a good chicken salad since Las Spadas, but I'm always on the search because I fucking adore chicken salad. Love it to death. Yeah. So a good chicken salad sandwich, maybe even make it a melt with some cheese on top, toast that bitch up, and like some chips. I'm in heaven. I'm good. That is my ideal situation. And for the dessert side, good old ice cream sandwich, I fuck with it. But definitely a chicken salad. That's me. What about you, Sean? Oh, he's contemplating.
Let's see. Favorite sandwich. Back when I ate lots of different sandwiches, I think my favorite was like a top quality roast beef sandwich with cheddar and you have to get it with cheddar. You have to get it with fresh green, whether it's lettuce or arugula or whatever your preference is. I think I made that one with arugula. I made it with focaccia bread, and I made it with hand ground horseradish, and it was fucking amazing. Nowadays, like I don't eat beef very much, just for like gut health reasons. Like beef is red meat's very conducive to like cancers and things. And at unfortunately at my advanced age of over 30, you have to start considering that shit. So like I kind of just cut beef out for the most part. Okay, I still love cheeseburgers, which is probably my favorite just go-to sandwich would be cheeseburgers. But
I didn't even think about that. That is a good answer.
yeah. But in terms of like a traditional cold cut sandwich, which is still probably the best cruiser sandwich of all time, I would probably say like a roasted turkey, like a slow roasted turkey sandwich with like Swiss and a little bit of like stone ground mustard and like just some like romaine lettuce. And I'm a simple man, bro. Like if the thing about I strongly
A
feel
simple
is that the
man's a
best
grilled cheese,
sandwich.
bro. You just read off to me a 5-star meal, dog.
Yeah, I just think that the best sandwiches don't rely on a ton of sauce, right? It should get its flavor from its vegetables and from its meat. Especially like a turkey sandwich, I think shouldn't have a ton of stuff. So just a little bit of mustard, like that roast beef sandwich I told you about. By the way, if you do like roast beef and you get some super high quality roast beef, get some super high quality, like especially handmade if you can get it,
I was gonna
horseradish.
say, what if I
Put a
hate
little bit on the
horseradish?
bread, make sure it's toasted, and then put that it goes really well with the cheddar and the roast beef. If
I
you
just
don't like
fucking hate it.
horseradish, do you like spicy mustard?
Oh, I fucking love mustard in general. Yellow mustard, a
Then I
Dijon
would get like
mustard,
a spicy mustard, like one that's got a little bit of
like a
heat
deli
behind it,
mustard.
just a
Yeah,
little bit of bite, something abrasive to go against the creaminess of the cheddar and the saltiness of the beef, and like just something to complement. Not a lot. You don't want it to overpower, just to kind of like support. It adds some brightness to it. And then if like, that's all you really need. You want some crunch from your green. So I like arugula because it's a little bit bitter, but romaine works really well. I never use iceberg lettuce for anything because it's only good for texture. It doesn't add any flavor, and it doesn't add any nutrition, really. Whereas romaine at least does, arugula does, pretty much any of the other like lettuces do. Just iceberg doesn't. So like I don't tend to use that for anything. Um, so put like some romaine heart on there or something, and so you got a nice crunch and a little bit of a green flavor. It's amazing. Like, but you want to do like that's when you're doing like a top quality gourmet fucking sandwich. These days, like I'm super fine with just like a turkey sandwich. Love those.
yeah, I love turkey.
But and of course the classic cheeseburger, nice juicy medium rare burger, like a big thick slab of melty cheese, fucking some lettuce, a little bit of ketchup, a
A little
little
bit
bit of
of burger
mustard.
sauce.
Yeah, or burger sauce. Yep,
Yeah,
yep. Traditional burger sauce is what? Mayo, ketchup,
relish.
a little bit of like garlic, I think,
Yeah,
and some relish.
yeah. It's kind of like a
It's a
better
little bit
version
like
of
an
what you get on a.
aioli.
It's what you get on a Big Mac, basically. The Big Mac
It's
sauce,
similar,
same
yeah.
idea. Yeah,
But burger sauces tend to be like house made, so it depends on whoever is making it as to
yeah.
what's
They
in
can
the burger
change.
sauce. But it tends to be a base of mayo and ketchup, and then maybe some relish and some other spicy or spice or whatnot added to it.
That's some
But
good
burger
stuff.
sauce is good. I don't mind burger sauce.
Yeah.
I don't like the bottled burger sauce. I like the homemade stuff if I'm going to be using that.
Also,
But
shout
like
out
I'm
to
good with like ketchup and mustard, or just mustard for that
yeah.
matter, because like the real flavor of the of a cheeseburger comes from the cheese and the beef, and those are like, as long as that's bright enough, you don't always need a lot else.
Shout out to BLTs. Just want to make sure they're
If,
shouted out.
yeah, if you're making a BLT though, you want to make sure to put a little bit of salt and pepper on your tomato when you're putting that on the sandwich.
Yeah,
Don't
you
just put
definitely.
straight
Oh
tomato.
yeah, if you ever have a tomato on a sandwich, you want to salt it. Definitely. That's what makes it. That's what brings out the flavor of the tomato. Other than that, it's just fucking crunchy water that you're
Yeah,
eating.
just a little
Yeah,
bit, not a
yeah,
lot,
yeah. You don't
just
need
a
a whole lot.
tiny bit, and like it goes a long way.
Oh, 100%. I always salt my tomatoes when I make sandwiches with them.
I used to use flake salt to
Mm-hmm.
on and then I, instead of doing like a disc of tomato, I would cut like thin like slices, like a orange, like a slab of an orange or something, like that kind of a shape,
Okay.
and I'd put those in, and then I'd get a bigger, juicier bite and I used that thick slab bacon,
Mm-hmm.
like your mom made
Yeah. I
for
mean,
breakfast.
I guess I don't know how thick those pieces were, but I mean,
Those were well, the ones I got were thick.
oh,
Like they were thick
I
cut.
got the ones out of the fucking microwave because I woke up late, so my bacon was noticeably
Oh yeah,
subpar.
we might have been out then, because
No, yeah,
I
we had
think
to make
half
more.
of the bacon I had was like normal strip bacon, and the other
Yeah,
half was like thick cut slab bacon.
because we normally make them on like a wire rack in the oven. It's like the best way to do it that we found. So, but my set we're just throwing in the microwave. But yeah,
That's about the only time I eat bacon at all, is like occasionally for like a BLT or like breakfast with eggs.
I really fuck with like a bagel half with cream cheese, maybe a little bit of jelly, and then bacon on top of it, and I eat that all together. It's so fucking. It's one of my favorite things to have for breakfast. It's so good. Yeah. Well, we appreciate the
They make
question,
donuts
Sam.
that way with like cream cheese and bacon and
Yeah.
jelly.
I don't like bacon on donuts. I've had some of it before. It
It's
was like a
weird.
maple
I'm not.
bacon donut.
I'm more happy with like I'm happy with just straight cream cheese. I don't even need like anything on top of it. I don't even need the bagel.
Yeah, I love cream cheese too. So I remember
It's weird. I
sometimes
had one bacon donut once and it was revolting.
I remember sometimes I think one time I had fuck. It was like sometimes for dessert, if we didn't have anything else but we had cream cheese, I just get like some saltine crackers and put a little bit of cream cheese on a cracker and that'd be my dessert for the night. Some good stuff. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. We might as well. We went and saw Beetlejuice, so we'll talk about it a little bit before we end up wrapping up the episode. We appreciate the question, Sam. If you guys want to write in and hear from us, talk to us, communicate with us, go ahead, check the links below. You can send it through our email. You can send a question through Discord, but Discord's the best way to communicate with us. You want to hang out, talk with the community, talk with the hosts. Discord is the home base to do that. We'll be able to talk with you there. Hit us up. We want to hear from you. Let us know what your favorite sandwich is too while you're at it. So we're gonna move on. So we went. Beetlejuice came out like a couple days ago. This was very
Beetlejuice.
well, yeah, the new one. So we went and we saw it in theaters because we were all hanging out. We went at night to go see it. So now I'm gonna preface this. Now I know this is blasphemous. I have not seen the first one in its entirety. I've seen clips. So I went in raw dog and life going to see this film. It's just Hector said let's go see it, and I'm like I just wanted to be with the boys, so I'm like fuck it, I'll go watch it. So that is where my opinions will be coming from. They may be a lot less valuable to whoever's tuning in because I haven't seen the first one, but that's just where I'm coming from. Sean's seen it, so he knows. He's a bit more familiar with the franchise. I am not. I do love Tim Burton, though. I love Tim Burton stuff. I love the aesthetic of Tim Burton stuff. So I was still enjoyed it. But Sean, what'd you think about the movie?
I didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a diehard Beetlejuice fan. I've been a Beetlejuice fan since I was a kid. I've seen the movie like 400 times. Like I never get tired of it. I like raised my kid on Beetlejuice, but I also firmly believe that Tim Burton lost his touch like a long time ago. Like right about the time he started fucking with Alice in Wonderland, he kind of lost his shit, and he has not been good since. And whereas I think Michael Keaton did what he could with the role, and he still got it where it counts. Like, and he was fun in the movie. He is only in a little bit of the movie, just like the original. Like the original relied more on the cast, but I think they made. I mean, the original one was like it poked fun at the rich and at the privileged, and I don't know, man. This one like rehashed ideas in a way that was completely unnecessary. I feel like they tried to get around Jeffrey Jones being a fucking creepy pervo, and the movie suffered for it. Like there's a whole bunch of just shit they never needed to do. There were characters that did nothing for the film that they spent time on for some reason. And the first movie, like I'm trying to be as spoiler free as I fucking can
yeah, we're
here.
gonna be spoiler free.
The original film was simple. It had a small but very interesting cast of characters. They all kind of represented something, and they were fun. Each character was fun. Either that, or they were fun to hate, or fun to be annoyed by, or just in general fun. But all the characters were fun. And it was whereas it was a diverse cast, it was also not overly dense. And this one, they had way too many characters. And I did enjoy some of the cameos, but it was still way too many characters, way too many subplots. And there were two characters that they spent a lot of time on that were supposedly key to the plot, which, if you think about it at the end of the film, like changed nothing. Had they not been in the movie would have been more streamlined, simpler, easier to follow and enjoy, and you wouldn't have had to fucking sit through half the crap. It was just, they were just horribly added. There was no purpose for them being there. They didn't really provide any threat. They really didn't do anything. There was never a time when you were concerned. It was just extra baggage. And by spending time with them, you diluted the plot from the characters that needed it. I don't think Jenna Ortega added anything to the fucking movie at all. She should have, because she was supposed to be the Lydia.
Outside of being there and being hot.
Huh?
Outside of being there
Yeah,
and being
outside of her
hot.
being hot, though, her character was useless.
Oh, yeah, no. To be honest, the first, like, third or even half of this film is completely inconsequential. Yeah. It takes forever to get
Lydia
to the
a
afterlife.
flake, which is really upsetting. Because in the first movie, Lydia is very intelligent.
Lydia was the mom,
She's very
right?
perceptive. Lydia's the main character, the one that went
with
to rescue
the shit ass haircut.
Yeah, Winona Ryder.
Yeah, okay.
She was intelligent, and her parents were kind of like the goofy ones. And unfortunately, the main actor for her dad, which is the claymation dude, he got busted several years ago for child pornography, little boy stuff. And not that it matters. Child pornography is child pornography. It doesn't matter what gender. But he got busted for it, and it's really gross. And so Hollywood won't give him roles anymore. And which is sad, really sad, but it is what it is. He's a piece of shit. So he couldn't be in the movie. So they did a claymation version of him, and in my opinion, he should have been dead when the movie started, and just move on from there. They didn't have to do any of the crap with him. They didn't have to claymate him. They didn't have to fucking include it. Like, there were so many stupid storylines, and then like what they did with the mom was dumb. Everything with her was dumb. Everything with Lydia's relationships with other people was dumb. Like, the plot they brought her back there was dumb. Like, there were so many solid, entertaining ways that they could have done things, and it just seems like they were. I'll summarize it this way. It feels like they're like, hey, let's make a sequel to Beetlejuice, and then somebody spitballed an idea, and they went with the first draft, and that was it. Like, nobody came up with other ideas. Nobody tried to maybe streamline the characters a little bit and get rid of some stuff and kind of clean it up and make it neater and more, condensed and more like a cleaner story. Instead, they just puked this thing out and kind of ran with it, and it feels bad. They tried in some places, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the visuals, but I think that Beetlejuice is a movie that could have easily enjoyed having a sequel. I just think that this was a shitty attempt. And I think rather than watching this film, I think you should go back and watch the original. And I think it would be a kind of a learning lesson for Burton if he was to see that, like, this movie, all this movie does is promote people to watch the original. And they didn't even. It's just not good. They rehashed. It's just not. It's not
stop
good.
spoiling.
Yeah,
Just
that's all I'm saying.
Overview. Okay, so now
I liked Keaton's performance, but that was about it. All the characters they got wrong. It just felt wrong. Didn't feel good.
Okay, now from someone who has not seen the original, here's my opinion. I didn't think it was horrendous, but it was, like I said before, very inconsequential. Probably the first third of this movie could not have existed, and I would have been okay. it felt very safe, I guess would be a good way. They didn't feel like they wanted to spend a lot of time in the afterlife doing stuff in the afterlife, and they didn't want to make any story beats that would have been somewhat impactful to the lore and or story of the afterlife. Everything kind of happens and resolves very quickly without too many major changes going on, stuff you would probably expect in a sequel, something to kind of introduce something more interesting to the afterlife. But I will say I loved being in the afterlife. I like that a lot of it was still practical stage effects, and it looked great. It looked excellent. It was fun to watch for those parts, but you're with this burden that you have to get back to all the uninteresting shit going on with the people still alive. That stuff I wasn't too much of a fan of. It's weird because they have a starting scene that introduces what feels like it's supposed to be a main line importance as a character that will exist throughout the story that will cause problems, and she really doesn't do anything outside of just being a foreboding presence that walks around and maybe kills a character here that is
Yeah,
not important.
it's one of those characters I mentioned that just added nothing to the movie. It
Yeah,
could have not been there.
but
Like
it's all
Monica Bellucci and Willem Dafoe could have not been in that film, and nothing would have been different.
yeah. I mean, it could have been cool, an interesting thing. Maybe add some kind of threat that's actually doing something, but then it kind of quickly becomes this like B plot. That's just this thing that's always happening in the background where you have all this human side drama going on. You know, it feels like what are people here for? To see Beetlejuice do his Beetlejuice thing, right? Be a fucking goof that's like just insane and causes all this mayhem. And you instead you have all these characters that you really don't give a shit about, kind of doing their drama and bullshit that seems like a TV show level like story plot. And it feels like when people that complain about the like seeing like the US side Godzilla movies, you know, like they go to see Godzilla do Godzilla's thing, and what do they have to do? They have to watch humans be humans for like half the movie, and they hate that shit because what they go to for the movie to see. They wanted to see Godzilla be Godzilla, fight big ass monsters, but instead they're stuck with all this human side drama for a good portion of the movie because the writers didn't know what the fuck to do with Godzilla. And then you always
Same
have the
thing with the Transformers movies.
yeah, then you always have the Japanese movies for Godzilla that always end up doing well because they know how to portray Godzilla in a way that's interesting. And you know what the movies are focused on? Holy shit, fucking Godzilla. Who would have thought? Isn't that like a crazy idea that we focus on the main title of the movie? Like, that'd be cool. So I mean, shit, if you have a shitload of nostalgia for the first one, you go see it. I think you'll at least be somewhat happy because of the nostalgia. But I don't think you'll be like, oh, that was a good movie. You know, it's just been like, oh, that was fun. And it really didn't serve any of the purpose, you know?
I mean, it's like you said, it wasn't horrendous, but it definitely was not good. I would say it's a bad film, and it's a waste of time. But it's definitely not worth the price of admission, in my opinion, for anybody.
I
It
mean,
was fun to go through with you guys, and I enjoyed
oh,
that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I enjoyed the experience of going to see it. But I was vastly disappointed. And honestly, Kyle, like I think when we do if we do the Halloween movie thing this
Uh-oh.
year, I think we should include
Yeah,
Beetlejuice
we
in
could
there, and
watch
you
it.
can see what a good Beetlejuice film feels like. It's a simple, straightforward plot. It resolves itself well. It's fun. Lots of practical effects, lots of interesting characters, no fluff or riffraff or extra crap. No, like all the characters are interesting and interesting to watch and see what happens. Like it's very simple in that way. And this one could have been, and they just added all this extra crap that went nowhere. Like the drama with the family didn't really make sense. The Lydia's character after you see the first movie won't make any sense to you because it's like backtracking and regressing into some sort of garbage character, and she was a strong character, and then this movie starts and she's not, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I feel like they were just forcing this movie to exist when and I think they should have found a reason for it to exist and then built the plot around that rather than going let's cash in on nostalgia. And that's exactly what it feels like
Oh, it
is
is a cash in 100%.
yeah, it doesn't feel like this movie had a reason to exist. And I think if you're going to write a sequel, you need to have a story to tell. And this did not feel like they had a story to tell. This felt like they needed to force they forced themselves to create a story to cash in, and that was it. And I think that's why it falls apart. I think if they actually had a story they wanted to tell, then you wouldn't have had the issues in the film that you did have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no,
But
I
Keaton did a great job, like that, especially that scene where that you're fucked. Like that
yeah.
part was brilliant, and I think everybody in the theater laughed at that.
No, yeah, I laughed quite a few times watching this. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a waste of time, even as someone that hasn't seen the first one. And I think if you are like a big fan, you could probably enjoy it to some degree. But I don't think you would leave the theater being like, there's not like they couldn't have done something better. You know, it'd probably be the first thought, like, oh, they probably could have done more, either in one way or another. So, but
And they
definitely,
successfully made like 2 or 3 seasons of an animated TV show that was loosely based on the characters from the first film, specifically Lydia and Beetlejuice. Although in the cartoon, Beetlejuice was a good guy, whereas I think you can pick up that in the films he's definitely not a good guy.
no, yeah,
Uh, I wouldn't say that he's evil. He's just a very selfish character. All he cares about is his own goals. He doesn't really care about anybody else, and he'll do what it takes to accomplish whatever he wants to do. But he's more of an entity of chaos rather than some sort of villain. And so in the cartoon, they capitalize on the chaos element, but they capitalize on it in a very childish, fun kind of Looney Tunes way. And so in the cartoon, Beetlejuice is friends with Lydia, as opposed to being an antagonist in the movie.
yeah,
And
no,
I use that term fairly lightly, but
yeah, I mean, shit. Even the very small amount I knew about the first film, is I figured that was what the type of character Beetlejuice would be, is this kind of agent of chaos that just does what the fuck he wants, and he's very selfish.
yeah,
So,
he basically just doesn't want to be trapped in the underworld anymore. He wants to be able to run around the world of living and do whatever the fuck he wants, and that's his goal. He likes scaring people and not being trapped in the underworld. That's like his two things. Also, did they ever round up the escapees? You remember the pinheads? I don't think they did.
no,
I think
they
those
just
guys
were
are
set
still,
loose, yeah, and they didn't really talk
yeah,
about it
like
after.
dumb, dumb,
We
dumb,
might have missed like
dumb.
a post credit because we didn't. There was a post credit about it. I don't know.
I hope
That seemed
so,
like
but
something that you'd do in a post credit scene or something. I don't know, but they
maybe
did. It definitely
I
wasn't
thought
in the airing.
I thought about staying and watching in post credits, and I just didn't care.
Yeah, you could always look
And
it up online.
I never leave before the credits are done. And this time I was like, I was done. Winona Ryder still looks good, and Jenna Ortega looks, is definitely a spiritual successor to the Winona Ryder's kind of indie goth girl roles from the 80s and 90s. So I can definitely appreciate that, even though in some interviews she opens her mouth and reveals herself to be an idiot. Like I do agree, she's very pretty, she's very fun to watch if she's in the right roles and whatnot. I'm not obsessed with her. I'm obsessed with a
Yeah,
real person, so it's like hard for me to be obsessed with like actresses and things. But
I haven't seen
I
anything. I mean, she's just pretty.
she's the
Like I haven't
only
watched
person I could have
Wednesday.
seen filling this
Yeah,
role.
I haven't watched Wednesday, so I don't give a shit. But I just think she's pretty. So
I
that's
don't
all.
like some of the choices they made with Wednesday, but again, Wednesday was directed by current day Tim Burton, and current day Tim Burton is he's a George Lucas equivalent. Like, don't let him make stuff on his own. There needs to be people around him to tell him no.
All right, sounds good.
Same thing with the Kojima.
Let's give it a rating. What we thought out of a
Uh,
5.
wow. Hmm.
I can go first.
I give it
Oh,
a 2 claymation Jeffrey Jones out of 5.
okay. I'd probably give it a. I'm stuck between a 3 and a 3.5. I'd probably give it a 3. Uh, 3 murdered, or 3 babies trying to eat your face off out of 5.
That was a good scene.
That's funny because
I really didn't like what they did with the legacy characters. I didn't like what they did with her mom.
Oh yeah,
I
don't
didn't
know.
like how they fucking forced the dad into it. Like, just he should have just already been dead. Like, so many dumb choices. And if you're gonna sit there and take Jeffrey Jones's character out of the fucking stories because of he's a gross human being, then why would you include his likeness? That's so confusing to me.
I don't know. All right. Well, that was the review. If you guys have seen it, let us know what you thought. If you enjoyed it, disliked it, reasons you liked it and didn't like it, hit us up. Let us know. We want to know.
Also, they've confirmed for sure that they're working on Constantine 2 now.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, they waited like a million fucking years to make it because, of course, they did.
I like the first one a
So
lot.
now it's like old Constantine.
Yeah, I like the first Constantine.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
All
I
right.
don't care that he's a little bit different than the comic book Constantine. I don't care that his hair is different. I feel like Keanu captured the parts about Constantine that he needed to.
Definitely. Oh, excuse me. All right, but we're going to go and wrap up the episode. Guys, write us some mailbags. We need content. I'm going to be dead ass. We need content. We want to hear from you guys. You're tuning in. Send us a fucking mailbag. You can ask us anything. It could be related to games, anime, movies, or just daily life. We want to hear from you. So look at the description down below. Check the socials. Hit us up. But we're going to wrap things up. It was episode 210, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, episode 210 of the Thought Patrol podcast. We're getting there. We're almost at well, we've been doing this for a long time, but we're close to getting to like a year of episodes, quote unquote, if we were to do them every week. But we'll have to think of something interesting to do for that. But that's a ways away still. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, join the Discord, hang out with us. But we're going to go ahead and get the fuck out of here. Sean.
Hugs and kisses and all your pink parts.
Oh, very sultry. All right, and before we go, let someone you know that you love them. Tell them they're appreciated, and we'll see you guys later.